Hey guys, it's Matt. After yesterday's video on AI and Chat GPT, I just was thinking about the future. Industries that will no longer exist, industries that'll pop up, huge populations out of work because the AI or the robots will take over, everything happening at an accelerated pace. So this video is about the future, and the comments are extremely important. I'll try to clean up the comments the best that I can. Really, the comments need to be about the future, helping us predict what's coming, what you know about a certain industry. I mean, just anything, but it has to be about the future. I'm going to try to clean them up the best that I can. Don't care about the new Mandela effect right now after yesterday's video. Somehow, as dark as it was yesterday, there were a few laughs, but this is a more serious presentation, not the star you see above the left shoulder of Santa Claus Schwab, but a SERIOUS presentation. Because the Great Reset, it's not like we're going to wake up, oh, that it happened. Hey, look out the window. The Great Reset must have happened. It won't be like that. It's happening now. This is part of one of Bill's posters that I added to in a really lame way. But I didn't realize until Bill presented this in the poster, the mirror of the Great Reset, as he's done here, is the 666. Now, the 666 to them, it doesn't mean the devil, in my opinion. I think it means when they use, first of all, there's nothing inherently evil about the number 666. It's a number, just like any other number. 33 is a number. They've taught us to run from it. You know the other numbers they use. They're going to use their numbers. They have a greater understanding than the average. That's, by the way, up top right up there, just because you guys miss him, I added in Kurt. I'm not going to have Kurt make an appearance in this video, but Kurt will come back. Some people love Kurt, and some people can't stand when Matt presents Kurt. But the numbers are the numbers, okay? They'll use them in their creepy ways, in their witch's brew. They understand how the gematria is the underlying fabric of this base reality. Fine. Okay. But in terms of when they use the 666, again, I don't think it's just the devil. It's, if you look at the passage in the Bible, that's more the way they mean it, in my opinion. It's the number of a man. Clearly says in the Bible, it's the number of a man. It doesn't say anything about Satan. The line itself doesn't even mention Lucifer or Satan at all. It's the number of a man, but it also says the beast. And when they use it, I think it's more along the lines of having a man become a beast, lose his or her spirituality. Man, you can't even talk. Lose his or her sense of the connection of the divine or whatever we are outside of here. Man becomes the beast. To me, that is the 666, and that's part of one of the great, not reset, but the plan of the minions, the screen, and the asshole dark. It's been the primary plan. It's hiding you from spiritual self. To me, that's more about the 666, not the devil. Sorry. Maybe the first way we can put the comments to good use is to address this ridiculous slogan that's been in the forefront of our community for so many years now: own nothing, be happy, from the World Economic Forum. Now, they didn't put this slogan out, I guess, internationally and push it like our community pushed it. But nevertheless, it was out there, and you wonder why they put these sorts of things out there. I assure you that the gentleman in the Darth Vader garb in front of you there in the graphic, he does not believe he's going to have 90% of the world inside of even 50 years owning nothing and being happy. But it's part of their creepy witch's brew that even if it takes 100 years, they will kind of show you where they want it to go, like they have to, in a way. It's not the most sophisticated analysis, but it is pretty straightforward. And they take tiny little incremental steps in this fashion. So you do own nothing and be happy. There's examples all over the place, and they're so patient and they're so incremental. Automobiles, for example. I'll look to your comments for a lot of other examples. If you buy a new Toyota Avalon, or a BMW or Mercedes, you just Greg knows engines. He can, in 85 Buick LeSabre. You can take the whole engine apart, put it back together. You can't work on these engines today. You can't work on your own car. You have to go to the dealer. The dealer has their own types of tools. It's not just like a Phillips head screwdriver anymore. It's tools custom to Mercedes in some way to open up the engine. And then they have this, there's legalese behind, even when you buy a car, that in some way says that you don't own the car. We've all heard this sort of thing. I don't care to dive into it in any more detail. Why they have to kind of maneuver like this, it doesn't matter. I mean, no one's going to come knock on your door one day and say, oh, did you see the fine print? And we own the car. We're just going to take it. That's not going to happen. But it's part of their witch's brew, their spell, that even though you're going to have the car, it's going to be yours. If you want to off-road it, if you want to do whatever with it, no one's going to come and take it. But there's language like that you don't own it. They're so weird in how they do business. But okay, that's automobiles. Then you have housing. Toll Brothers around here. I live outside of Philadelphia, about 30-minute drive outside of Philadelphia. Towns in the area: King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, Exton, Malvern, etc. Okay, Toll Brothers still builds homes, but 90% of the units are these prefab apartment complexes. In a way, they're making it harder to own, and they want to, of course, push everyone into these apartment complexes. There's thousands of these units going up all over the place. And I talked to Greg and others, and I'm like, well, where are the people coming from that are going into these thousands upon thousands of new units? All apartments, again, they own nothing. But matter, most importantly, are they happy? No. Go knock on some of their doors. They're not happy either with their VR headsets in there, and you can smell the damn hookah and the pot being smoked. But okay, they're mostly younger people. Maybe they were all sleeping on their parents' couches. Parents said, we got to get your ass out of here. I don't know where the people came from that are occupying all these apartment prefabs that are going up all over the place in this area. But it is part of own nothing, be happy. They don't want, at the end of the day, you owning land. Okay, and they're going to move very incrementally in this regard. All of this stuff always points to how this big thing is not going to happen in the world. Why are they taking in the next few years? I mean, people come to me, Matt, by this, look at this date, September 2023 or whatever. Well, oh yeah, so the not milk system, the asshole dark, has made these tiny little incremental steps over hundreds of years. But you as a truther know some big, huge things coming in a year or two. They don't know, and all that incremental behavior was all for nothing. No, the small steps means it's all going to take a long time to play out outside of our own lifetimes. They're not stupid. If some major stuff was going to happen, they wouldn't be taking tiny little bites of the whatever you want to insert here. So is this potentially another area where the truth community has been used? When they floated the own nothing, be happy, whether it came from their pamphlets, their brochures, their Santa Claus Schwab ceiling posters, their white paper, whatever it may be, who ran with it? Who latched onto it and propagated it? Does your Aunt Ginny and the people down the cul-de-sac know about this slogan? They never heard a damn thing about this. The truth community took it and ran with it. Well, Matt, you're talking about it right now. Oh, can you explain to me how I'm supposed to talk about and analyze something so we can make the right decisions going forward and predict the future? How I'm supposed to analyze something without talking about it? Or if we were used and played, can I point out to you how the truth community was used and played without talking about it? There's definitely a couple people in the bathtub that were like, well, you're talking about it now. You need to just wait a few minutes and think. If we were manipulated and played, I have to talk about it for a few minutes. But what seems more logical? What did they get out of floating this slogan? And it's maybe that, remember, it's another meeting with all the monkeys and the little chimp is making the presentation in front of the Baphomet. It's one of those meetings. Said what we can do is we can get extra mileage out of this for our spell. We're going to float this into the truth community. Oh, we're gonna get this. What do you call a social justice woke kind of soft little man to stand and say in pose in front of the poster and say you'll own nothing and be happy. And these truthers will run with it and they'll help us propagate our spell Don't think that's not how it happens a lot of times, guys. We've been used more than you can possibly imagine. But again, this presentation is about trying to predict the future so we have a better idea of what's coming. Get in front of it instead of a fear perspective. Oh my God, own nothing, be happy. They're going to take all my shit. They're not going to take your shit. If they expect they can get there, no home ownership, no land ownership, no vehicles, all Uber type things, Agenda 2030 bicycles, bike lanes. I mean, it's going to take, and they know it's going to take 25, 35, 40 years. But with whatever idea they put out or where they want to take society and culture, a lot of times they plant it, they'll sow it through the truth community. We might, or in some cases, are the first wave to help a very patient manifestation of it. We take it and run with it. We end up introducing it to the, quote, regular people and the masses more effectively for a lot of topics than they do. We're probably just helping manifesting what they want. Bill, when you inserted Santa Claus Schwab into your poster here, the part that I took and butchered, was he really wearing that? Did you dress him up in that? I mean, Bill can put whatever. He can put an Annie outfit, a little Annie dress on Melvin P. And he can do all, but it seems like he's really wearing that. Was he in Star Wars? Was it some sort of role that was between Governor Tarkin and Darth Vader? What is he wearing? Looks like the leader of the, quote, hot chicks that what were they running down Ashton Kutcher and Stifler and Dude, Where's My Car? The aliens, the hot chicks. He's the leader of those women in black that were trying to run down Stifler and Ashton Kutcher. I didn't know he was in Dude, Where's My Car either. Look, Dude, Where's My Car is a really lame movie, really bad, but the Chinese drive-through restaurant scene is funny. They keep ordering 4 egg rolls, and then chicken lo mein, and then so they order, and it will not let them stop, and then it will not let them stop ordering, and then sorry. So summary number 1 at this point, before we move forward, absolutely they will want ownership of large ticket items, of cars, land, even businesses. It will become more of the state owning it, or you will lease it or get it from the state, or lease it from the big corporation that's just a proxy of the state. And it'll happen slowly over a very long period of time. So if you just bought a bunch of land and you're not Melvin P., they're not going to come and pull your family off the land in 10 years. They'll make it harder. Taxes will go up. Regulations about water and runoff, and what California is doing. It'll just make it more difficult until people, generally the first step, of course, is not that they'll come rip you off your land. They'll say it's not worth it to own the land. That will be the first step, but it'll take a long time. We've already seen this with, the farmers. If you exactly comply, you're okay, right? You better use those Monsanto seeds. We catch you using your own seed or whatever. The lawsuits come. And remember, what was it, the Bundy Ranch? I'm sorry, I don't buy that whole thing at this point. I guess people like Matt, you're going to give yourself a damn Pootie Tang award there. Who are you talking to here? But to put that out, the Bundy Ranch, and they came in, the Bureau of Land Management, and gave them such a hard time because their cattle, they're in this and that. These are wetlands because there's a little bit of wet mud, and cattle can't, whatever then the people got involved, and the people that got involved really believed they were there to push back on a over-intrusive government and to push back on the system. But the purpose of that, it was such a big story, it gets into the subconscious and unconscious of people that this Big Brother exists, and it will demand full compliance. At this point, I think the entire thing, was cake in a lake. Somebody wasn't there there was actually a shooting or something. I don't know. It just seems like a bunch of BS to me. And do I look at it closely? No, but it lays the groundwork. The farmers, that's already been done. If you don't Arthur Daniels Midland exactly comply, you're going to be really screwed as a farmer unless you're real small. And maybe even the small ones probably can't escape it at this point. But then now, beef, cattle, if you don't exactly Purdue Chicken and Tyson Chicken comply, the message is, oh, Bureau of Land Management, Big Brother's going to come in and make your life hell, ruin your life. And, all this, as long as that message got around to all the cattle farmers and, vegetable farmers, and, that's kind of what the whole thing was about. But let's just not go back in time too much. Let's move forward. In terms of what we talked about yesterday, the AI, the chat GPT, in terms of predicting the future, and this is another great use for your comment if you held it back a bit. What are all the areas where the AI and what we see growing exponentially now will simply replace the human? So the easy one is, of course, the Stable Diffusion, the Midjourney, the quote AI art. I feel bad. I mean, there are thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of little artists or concept artists around the world. I've used them myself many years ago. There was a guy in Brazil for a few $100s that worked some things up for me. I found him through the conceptart.org and some things people could do in terms of like comic book characters that was just special. Now it can be replicated in a few clicks by a first grader on their parents' computer. And what can be created is the same or exceeds what only maybe 10 or 20 artists in the world could do 15 years ago in terms of the super high definition, super ultra realistic fantasy art or whatever anybody's out to create using these AI programs. So am I missing something, or all of these graphic artists, most 95% will be out of business or are out of business or will be, as not everybody understands these technologies at this point. Even the guy or girl that presents concept art to Disney for a movie or for storyboarding. Well, why would any of that be needed anymore? So look, okay, maybe I'm going overboard. There's been some artists I've seen comments like, I'm not concerned at all. They must be like delusional or something. Not concerned at all when what you do can be replicated for free in a few clicks by anyone in the world on any computer. Yeah, okay, but they're all out of business for the most part. But there's 100 other segments very shortly, 5 to 10 years, that are going to be, quote, out of business because of this AI that's coming. And we should try to determine what those segments are and not get ahead of it like we're gigantic angel investors or anything, just to maybe so we can warn our uncle not to send his niece into a field that's going to not be there in 5 years. For this one, guys, I'll look to your comments because I just don't know anything about it. But, okay, the chat GPT can return computer code, can do a lot of the things you ask it to do, like Greg asked it to perform simple coding in C++, and in a second it just came back. So all these coders, I'll just ask you, I don't know, but there's just, tens of thousands of coders that work in millions, okay, that work at hospital systems, medical systems. So the hospital system at Jefferson University in Philadelphia complies with Obamacare and communicates with Medicaid or Medicare, all that stuff, all that coding. Millions of people work in HR coding and updates for SAP systems for large corporations to comply. It's all about compliance, of course, and laws. And I mean, the AI, does it eliminate millions and millions of the lower level coding jobs? If somebody can just ask the AI for the code it needs, and I don't know, you just cut and paste. I don't know. Again, this is not my thing. But you would think this AI is not going to create more jobs in that area. If you see what I mean, at some point, won't it be able to do the analysis or why is a certain system not working? I mean, the AI itself will do the analysis versus a real human. I'll look to your comments, but that's, again, probably in the next 5 to 10 years, tens of millions of more people, or much more than that, wiped out without a job. How about the million Uber drivers and taxi drivers, or millions in North America? 1 million throughout Europe. Uber, other forms of transportation, Lyft. I'm sure some cities like New York still have the traditional taxis, I guess. I don't even know anymore where Uber has put all these traditional taxis and their medallions out of business. But there he is, smoking his stogie on the Joe Rogan show. Elon Musk and his self-driving car that only crashes 1 out of 1,000 times. That's pretty good. Only 1 out of 1,000 people go over the bridge. It's all, of course, going to be self-driving. You won't need an Uber driver. You won't need maybe it'll take 10 years, a taxi driver. What did Schwarzenegger do in Total Recall? Johnny Cab. Was it Johnny Cab? Johnny Cab. How did I get here? That's terrible, but the door opened. You got in. Welcome to Johnny Cab. Well, it'll be a plastic head, not a headless cab driver, a plastic head. All those people out of business. Mr. Flanagan, F. No more Uber drivers, no more humans of any kind. Truck drivers, they already have self-driving trucks, and are they really doing some routes? The self-driving trucks right now? Look, it's going to take time, guys. I think there'll be just as many truck drivers almost 5 years from now. But 15 years from now, maybe there won't be any. At some point, their biggest issue from this not nilk perspective is, okay, we could just keep going through the segments where the human interaction is going to be wiped out, mass unemployment, people no longer are needed versus the AI or the robotic. Okay, we thought actually would be here by now. It's actually a little bit behind schedule. Their biggest issue is, per this great reset, how they implement a society where 40% of the population has nothing to do. There is no industry to work in. By now, they have it all planned out. I don't know what the time horizon is, as the Great Reset will go along with whole industries just going away, being replaced by segments from the Animatrix. They know how to do it at this point. It might be a 30-year thing, 25-year thing, a 50-year thing. I don't know. But they have to, how do they account for the 100 million and then it becomes 200 million that were working, that have no industry anymore? The industry literally doesn't exist, like welding doors together in a General Motors or Ford plant. Sure, there's still a lot of people that run around these plants, but not like it was in the 70s with the robotic arms. That's all gone away. And what will they do? Just give people VR headsets and say, go out to your Ready Player One scenario and just have fun? But it does go along with the guaranteed basic income. Oh, there'll be just a gigantic federal, someday worldwide welfare system. If your industry's gone, you will be given this. And to keep getting that so you can buy your food, you will have to do, what the government says, like rent the movie with Carl Weathers' Action Jacksonation and things like that. So they're not going to leave 190 million people in the U.S. and Canada, without a job, just, ready to take to the streets. I mean, they will give them the money they need, but they'll also need ways via VR headset or whatever it may be to keep them satisfied so they don't take to the streets with pots and pans and hammers and clubs and baseball bats. But they have it all worked out. The AI system itself has probably got it all worked out. This Great Reset, again, I don't think you're going to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, look, it's here. I think they have this thing planned over. Its Great Reset will take 30 years, in my opinion. But of course, the monetary system is all part of it as well. Again, they have every segment already planned out. Sure, they'll introduce crises and scary moments and bank closings. They will need the crisis, of course, to get to where they want to get in the next segment. But they have all segments planned out. This game of charades that's going on now, where the debt just goes 35 trillion, 40 trillion, 50 trillion, it can't go on forever. It should already be $40 for one apple. It's masterful as it has kept inflation as low as it has. If anybody's screaming at me or throwing rubber duckies and say, "Okay, they're bitching me about inflation," or it should be 10 times to 100 times worse if this whatever AI is. Matt, you're congratulating them? No. I'm just telling you this system should have been gone if it wasn't completely managed by these AI systems. All the world's banking or Fed computers weren't all tied together. It would be $50 for an Apple now, and this whole US dollar would have gone away a long time ago. It has been masterful that they've kept it together this long, but they know it can't go on. So again, if there is a crisis where if there's a crisis of any kind regarding the dollar or financial markets, or it's all, of course, part of the plan. Don't get upset about or worried about it. This can't go on forever. Who knows what they'll replace it with? It'll be some sort of a digital currency, of course, on your phone. And Matt will finally have to go get a smartphone because his flip phones aren't going to work anymore. And a lot of people will feel real pain. They'll for every $5 they own, maybe they'll get two back, two converted to the new federal currency, whatever will appear on your smartphone. Miraculously and mysteriously and by coincidence, all the top billionaires will somehow get richer. That they won't take a hit. We know that. But okay, whatever, it'll have to go to a digital wallet or whatever it may be, and that new currency will go on in the United States and until they bring the world. I mean, who knows when this might be 40 years from now, the world crisis, where then the world now must share a currency together. But it'll be scary. Of course, it's just problem reaction solution. They'll create a scary situation where your banks will close or something. Just like, the truth communities, talked about this, or the economic collapse people have talked about this for 10 years. They probably will close the banks. I can't get in they'll show in the news a run on certain banks, and scenes from It's a Wonderful Life will play out, all by design, all part of the grand script and the grand play, because they need people to panic and worry. And then, of course, their people will be so desperate that they'll just be thrilled that there's a way out via this. Government will come and save the day like Mighty Mouse with the new digital currency. And so a lot of people will take a real hit. This would be a reason to own land versus just having a lot of money in the bank or whatever. But, it'll settle out in 3 or 4 months, and the world will go on. The riots will stop, whatever it may be. And they have it all planned out in their modeling, in their digital twins, in their supercomputers, in their chat GPTs. Within a 5 percentile, plus or minus, they know exactly how it's going to play out. So it's up to you when it comes, whatever the banking crisis is or the economic market crisis, you can laugh at it and know it's all by design, or you can get worried about it. At this point, the reason for C, the V, data collection. No matter how real or not, or whatever it was, okay, we're not going to go, they have certain means at their disposal and reality buttons and levers we'll never understand. I'm not going back there, okay? When you get back in the weeds, that's exactly where it wants. However, real or not, or it was about, see, this is all that matters, knowing what it was about data collection, understanding and AI modeling the human digital twins, begin AI modeling, getting people or getting the entire culture and society to take leaps and bounds, move upward towards the digital, like facilitating systems where children will be learning from home. And people can now, across all industries at work, they can work from home. Well, Matt, I know that we've been working from home for 20 years, but not in the same way. Not where it's now become normalized, where you can just jump on a call, a Skype or whatever the corporations use to chat with each other. It was a way so the entire world could jump from stage 3 in terms of this digital progress that it wants, 5G, 6G systems. It jumped in 2 years from a 3 to, say, a 7. And that could never, I mean, they're almost on record about this at this point. They come out and talk about it. Santa Claus does. That it was they. I mean, they're not even. This isn't me coming up with anything genius. They've told us what C the V was for, but they're not at 10 out of 10 yet in terms of the implementing the digital society they want. So will they go back and play the same gig again with another bedtime for Bonzo Pox or another scare? I think they're going to use this. They're going to wring this washcloth out of C the V as long as they can. A year or two from now, Matt, Bill Gates, he's talking about another event. Oh yeah, it's gonna play out the exact same way with just. I don't buy it. I don't think they're going to play the exact. They're going to get whatever they can get out of however they've scared an entire world population. I don't think they're going to play the same gig a year from now with just a different type of airborne. I don't see it. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Nevertheless, they still need a way to get from 7 to 10, but they're patient. I don't think it was such a huge move to do that in that 2.5-year period. They don't typically take huge moves like that. They're typically incrementally patient to an inhuman degree. People like Elon Musk and 1,000 others are simply role players, so the screen or the system or the not nilk or the SL dark or the plumber's ass crack can get society, culture, and the human where it wants. Nothing but a role player. In terms of what's really going on, that thing there, whatever Elon is, people give him too much credit, in my opinion. As time goes on, I might have believed 5 years ago, oh, he knows 9 out of 10. Oh, he's in backroom meetings. Now I believe he knows like 2 out of 10. We know more, potentially, about how reality works. He's used by the screen and the system. I don't even think he truly understands his role. Now, the Darth Vader character on our left there, I believe knows more, but is not the Dr. Evil you may think, because he still comes off too much like a cartoon character, too much like the head of the Legion of Doom. When something comes off like a cartoon character and seems to be fitting the role, then it's not all that it seems. I believe he knows a lot more than someone like Elon. I think Elon knows very little. I believe Elon probably thinks most of his genius is actually coming from him. Well, technically that was all said wrong. Nothing of any genius comes from him. But in terms of the grand scheme of what saying, a Christian would call it Satan, it's very similar for the screen has planned for the human being, stepping into the digital environment, some sort of reality switcheroo or overlay where the magenta bleeds through and shows its true nature over the emerald green. And someone like Elon Musk doesn't understand that. Does Santa Claus? I don't know. But these people are role players simply to get society where the screen wants it to go. Matt, what's the 2 sentences again? Just the ultimate goal of these sorts of creeps? Yeah, okay. Very, very simple. Real people are here. How many are there? I don't know. You're real, I'm real. There's real people here. This whole play going on around us, this whole production with its cartoon characters and its role players to get somebody distracted, entertained, whatever it may be, to hide themselves from understanding who they really are, to have them choose to cut their own spiritual cords, to cut themselves off from potentially the part of them that's not here, all while whipping energy generators or reality generator people and beings like you and me up into certain states of anxiety, fear, anger, worry, so whatever is here can actually feed off of it. The loosh, the polarity creation, the camps, the duality. So the goal is pretty simple. It wants you to feed it, and it wants you to forget who you really are spiritually. That's it. It's the same few sentences every single time. Back to the slogan here. Own nothing, be happy. Own nothing. Be in your life, you have some trouble. When you worry, you feed Santa Claus Schwab double. Don't worry. Great reset. If I'm not mistaken, don't worry, be happy was number 1 Yeah, I'm thinking Chuck D's screaming at me, right? Don't worry, be happy was a number one jam. Yeah, well, I guess because what Chuck D said was, but see, there's truth in it if you change the lyrics a little bit. I'm not going to sing it again. Don't worry. But when you worry, what is it? When you worry, you make it double. If you worry about, it, you make the trouble double. When you worry, you feed it double. Don't feed it. Be happy. There you go. There's our new lyric. Don't feed him or it, the two it's on the screen. Be happy. So at this stage of the game, guys, from the Crete's perspective, I think they might named it something like the Potemkin village phase. Let me show everybody in the audience our next phase, 1995 through 2023, the Potemkin village phase. What's that? See, when we just have a bunch of people working in corporations and all these different industries and money just moves around and 70% of it could go away, there's no reason or need for it other than to keep people busy and at work. And redundancy after redundancy after redundancy. But they need people at this point in the game to get up and go to work and feel like they have a mission and to help implement digital systems. But there's no industries in the United States other than Silicon Valley or whatever tech can provide. Of course, that will always generate inflows of money, but the whole system gives itself away. In the old days, if anybody doesn't know where I'm going, it's very simple. The old day, it made sense. The old days, there was like a boom around Pittsburgh in the late 1800s or something because they were pulling coal, and coal was energy, and that was the source of wealth. Or the source of wealth in Riyadh and Jeddah, Saudi, would be the oil. It made sense to first graders. But now there's no industry, there's no resources, there's nothing that generates wealth in a country like the United States. Let me repeat that. Compared to, say, the United States, 1880 through 1950, compared to that, there's almost nothing that generates wealth in the United States. Yet every city's inner city is revitalized, and new outdoor cafes and parks, and money that just comes from nowhere. Most of the cars aren't even built here anymore. The assembly doesn't even take place here. Made in America means they ship it over, I guess, from Foxconn, the Chinese nets. They ship it over, and you just put one little button on the end here, and you could say made in America. 99% of it was made in Bangladesh. There's nothing that drives wealth here. Yet, again, you look around and it's kind of the same as it always was, or these inner cities, that's what really gives it away. Just boom with new wealth. And they told us 10 years ago that every municipality was ready to go belly up. There's no money, and they can't pay for the pensions. They can't pay for the police, firefighter, teachers' pensions, judges' pensions. Illinois is going to go belly up. All the municipalities are going to go belly up. And it's just, a few, but it doesn't happen. Well, it's, of course, the amount of trillions that this electronic system, this AI world market system generates and pumps in, it could be $1 trillion a week. I mean, off books. And of course, I mean, people that know how the world works, like, my friend Tony or certain family members will come to me, Matt, they can't just do it off book. Don't you understand what the Fed balance sheet is? And there's accountability. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, sure. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, we would be able to, Matt, don't you know there's still some transparency? Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Where are the hot dogs? Give me a break. Come on. So it's so artificial, and, it's so well managed because, again, like I said, I'm not giving it praise, but a hot dog should be $400 by now. For one hot dog, relish. If you want relish, it's $50 extra. It should be. Somehow, I know the inflation's horrible. It hits me, okay? But I mean, it's like it's hard to survive, but it still was incredible considering the trillions and trillions pumped in. It can't go on forever. But they have it. It's all planned out. Every single phase of the economic system. Nothing will catch them off guard because they will have implemented the crisis themselves. Thanks for listening.